Look at us riding up Mont Ventoux.
So have you got the electric on?
Yes. Mont Ventoux is a huge mountain in the south of France, and it has seen some of the most extraordinary battles in Tour de France history, going back decades. Today, the women's race entertained the mountain for the first time in its history and delivered one of the greatest races that Mont Ventoux has ever seen. And in the end, Katarzyna Niewiadoma-Phinney has gone into yellow with a devastating ride. You're watching For the Love of Cycling. I'm Ned Boulting.
I'm Lizzie Deignan.
And we are right in the thick of it at the top of Chalet Renard. You might be able to hear in the background, there's applause still happening. The race finished about 20 minutes ago. Groups of riders, there's one of the Saint Michel riders still coming to the finish. So, I mean, the race was exploded into bits. We knew that would happen, and it's going to be some time, I think, before we see the broom wagon come up.
Yeah, it definitely is. It wasn't a flat stage up all the way through to Ventoux, like you were saying that usually is the case. They had a couple of foothills to cross before they even started this climb. So, yeah, the peloton was decimated right from the start of this climb, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a day where we probably don't have to sort of go into too much detail about what happened early on.
No.
Because, I think we all knew, Lizzie, that it was all going to be about what happened on the big mountain at the end, really.
Yeah, you'd be a fool to spend your pennies too early in this stage, given the conditions, given the mountain. So, yeah, it all happened here, as we expected.
Yeah, we got a little flavour of the top of the mountain, didn't we, earlier? We got here quite early today, and this is a hospitality area, the Chalet Renard, which is 6 kilometres from the top. And we did a bit of a ride, you on a normal bike, and me on a electric bike.
Yes,
stopping off at the Simpson Memorial on the way.
Yeah,
just
it was
to pay
cool.
respects,
We're here with Track Travel, and we kind of joined them for 5k.
Yeah,
didn't we? And it was really nice. They were loving it, weren't they? They were full of it.
They were loving it. But it's the first time you've ever ridden up this side of the mountain, the Bedouin climb.
Yeah.
And I think you were struck by what a brute it is, weren't you?
Yeah, I was struck as well just by the conditions. You can't overstate just how hot and windy it is up here. And also the altitude. Like, there was a point where we turned a corner and I suddenly felt like I was breathing through a straw. I was like, oh, you didn't feel that, obviously, on your electric bike.
No,
but
not so much. And because of my natural talents.
It was just humbling. I think it's
just moving on from that, are you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was humbling in terms of, you forget, don't you, watching it on TV, even as a former professional rider myself, I forget how hard it is and what they're going through.
Yeah.
And the fact that most of us are just getting up hills and they're racing and being criticised and analysed by people like us sitting on a sofa making decisions. I mean, how you even think to make any kind of logical, tactical, good decision is kind of crazy, right?
And some of the decisions that were made today were spot on by one woman in particular, right?
Yeah.
We'll come to that, what a devastating performance that was, and how it's changed the shape of the race entirely. And to not everyone's liking, but to our liking as neutrals, it's so well set up now.
Yeah.
But let us go back a little while. I mean, French television did their usual thing of not showing the whole of the race, even though this was the Queen stage.
Yeah.
They came on air at local time 3:45, and we only had about 53 kilometres of the race to go at this point. There was an 11-rider group up the road. And it didn't feature any of the really big names, did it? I mean, Amelie Diedrichsen was there, Ed Sett from Uno X, Mia Griffin, the Irish rider from Picnic.
There wasn't
Ruby Roseman Gannon, she did a good ride.
Yeah, she did a good ride. They all did a good ride to be there, to be in the race. But there was nobody. There was no real domestics from any of the hitters set up the race.
Yeah, no satellite riders.
No, there was none of that. It was
messing
all
around.
No messing about. Just stay with their leaders, give them as much water and nutrition and shelter from the wind as possible today.
Yeah, that must tell a story in the peloton when you realise, okay, a break's gone and there's 11 rides, quite a big break, and none of the big players have sent it. That must send a chill down the spine, actually, because you know, if you read the tea leaves, what that means, don't you?
Yeah, it's all in for the final climb, yeah.
Yeah. It was never going to be otherwise today, obviously.
Well, it was never going to be otherwise, yeah.
Intermediate sprint, Lorena Wiebes picked up 14th place. At that point, Marianne Vos and one of the riders from Fokker Vessel was off the front as well, so he had 13 riders off the front. She picked up 3 points for 14th place. That is a very small detail. But shortly after that, the peloton started to ride and chip away at the time. It was around about 3 minutes then. We had a combination of FDJ, Movistar, Lidl and UAE all. And again, we've seen this a lot throughout this edition of Tour de France. Not one of those teams actually just lines out on the front and does the work. The road allows for 4 different trains on an edge of ride, and it's quite unusual. And I think, am I wrong to say that seems to be a feature of the women's peloton in a way that you don't often see in the men's peloton?
Well, you
Or not
you
as
tell
often?
me. Do you not see it in the men's peloton?
Well, I don't think you see it at that stage of a mountain stage. You have
There's normally a team that takes control.
There's normally one or maybe two, and they'll send two riders up, and they'll kind of rotate those riders a bit. I think the times in the men's race that you tend to see that are more once the breakaway's been caught on a sprint stage, and we've got 15k
and
to
you're
go,
fighting for
and they're just
position,
they're holding the road. Sky, Ineos tend to go to the right and just hold that position, and there are a few teams doing that.
I think it's probably strength in depth within through the peloton that we do still, like we've talked about before, we still have riders in this race who are not fully paid professionals. With the top is a bigger gap to the lower end of the peloton. So actually, it's still a fight for position on climbs for the women's peloton, rather than waiting to use up your climbing domestique specialists. It's actually about using the resources within the team, and then there aren't 30 climbing domestiques to choose from who can sit in the wheels tightly and wait for their turn. It's actually about using each team's resources and setting up their own rider. It is slightly different because of that.
Yeah, it is slightly different. Then we came to the Col de Sauzette, which is a Cat 2 climb, and a lot of time was lost to the riders at the front, and they started to attack one another. They came over the top of that climb in bits and pieces. I think it was Ruby Roseman Gannon who actually crested the top of that climb in first place, but by now the break has only got about a minute something or other.
Yeah.
It's held in that kind of state. Interestingly, and I don't know whether this had any kind of impact later on in the race, but the riding was done by a variety of the GC teams in the peloton on that climb, and 3 quite important domestiques of FDJ were briefly dropped. Evita Muzic has done a lot of work in this race, was one of them. So Demi Vollering's team was a little bit put under pressure on that, even on that Cat 2 climb before Mont Ventoux, which with hindsight is perhaps a little bit more significant than I thought at the time. Maybe not.
Maybe. I think, again, it's about actually, you could save them, you could save the domestiques, but do they have the ability to follow when they need to on Ventoux? No, not really. So actually use those riders earlier on Sisteron climb.
Yeah.
No?
No, of course I would never take issue with it. I would never question you, Lizzie. Apart from now, the only question mark I have in my mind to resolve about that issue is whether or not, because Vollering, when she does attack on Mont Ventoux, attacks pretty early.
Yes.
Like earlier than I was expecting her to attack. Okay. And that is often a function of having run out of teammates.
I think today it was because she felt that was the steepest part of the climb, and that's where she could make the difference to Reusser.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they knew they needed to take it on, because if she waited and had a nice, steady domestic pace at the front of the peloton, that works totally into Reusser's favour.
Yeah.
So they had to be brave and go early in the trees.
Yeah. I mean, I've made loads of notes here. Some of them feel a little bit irrelevant now. Approaching Bedouin, Visma, Lisa really take it up, and they're setting the pace. Movistar have done a bit of riding as well after that. Last woman standing pretty much from the breakaway was Ruby Roseman Gannon again. She attacked. But then we come out of Bedouin, and that's kind of when the climb starts, unofficially at around about 19k. And it's Leanne Lippert, actually, and Movistar, who take control.
She did. She sat in front of Marlen, and there was a conversation at one point. I couldn't lip read exactly what was going on, so I didn't know whether Marlen was saying faster or slower.
Yeah.
I think, having looked at what then happened, she was saying faster. Marlen was saying up the pace.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be... There was a left-hand turn, basically, after Bedouin onto the climb, and she wanted to be perfectly positioned there. She didn't want to be out of position in case Vollering went early and she had to close that gap on an acceleration.
Yeah.
Reusser's job today was to stick into the wheel of Demi.
Yeah.
That's what she would have said in the team meeting.
Yeah.
And we now know that they underestimated
Katarzyna Niewiadoma-Phinney.
Exactly. I think she was concentrating on Demi. And I think that was a valid thing to do. I've underestimated Kasia, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing race. We'll come to it. So they turn that. They take that famous left-hand turn.
Yeah.
For anyone who's done that climb, and that is when Leanne Lippert's job is done. She pulls off dramatically, but straight away we've got riders like Kim Lecourt's dropped. Poor old Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is dropped again and has the indignity of, because she's a French national hero, of having a camera pretty much accompanying her up the entire climb.
She was remained very composed. I think I would have been asking in not very polite terms for that cameraman to leave me alone, to be honest.
Then we've got EF doing things in the race again, haven't we? Marlen Reusser, she gets the world champion, gets onto the... Oh, she doesn't attack, actually.
She doesn't
takes
attack.
Géry with her.
Yeah, I think there was maybe a little bit of inexperience there with Géry because she jumps with
Valliere?
Valliere. Sorry, I'm a bit dehydrated here, Ned.
Yeah.
Valliere. So she jumps with her.
You did a 5K ride today.
I did, you're right. Let's not underestimate that. And she leaves Julie... you say her name better.
Juliette Berthet.
Juliette Berthet.
Yep. On Juliette Labousse.
On the front behind with Demi. So Juliette slowly closes the gap up to Valliere.
Yep.
And actually, Géry should have done that. She should have waited with her captain, with her leader, and closed the gap slowly because she was no threat. It didn't make sense to jump there.
Yeah. Shortly after that, in no particular order, EF then kind of like take control of it, don't they, with Naomi Rugg, who does a lot of riding on the front, kilometre after kilometre actually. Very strong performance, went deep, the Swiss rider, went deeper than I thought she was going to. You could see that she was like right on the limit at one point, and she finally pops off with 11.2k.
A rider like that can empty the tank and go further than we see in other races, because that is the end of her race. The finish line was when she'd emptied, and she did, like you say, a very strong effort.
And Lizzie, here's the thing: she dropped your favourite rider. She dropped Célia Géry.
She did.
She eliminated her. And again, I come back to FDJ's possible weakness as a team today, because Géry's dropped outside 11 kilometres from the top of this climb. And 200 metres after Naomi Rugg has completed her efforts, that's when Vollering attacks. Because you've got no teammates left. It's now. She goes now.
Yeah, again, I think that was more the nature of where they were on the climb.
Okay, yeah, as you said, yeah.
Because
should have listened first time around when you said it.
No, I think that those are the subtle differences. Like we were speaking about between men's and women's cycling, there aren't a raft of climbing domestiques to Dami's disposal.
Yeah.
And they're not at the same level as Demi, so actually
the big mountain terrain doesn't exist to the same extent.
No.
Yeah. Very fair point. Who have we got coming in here?
I think this is the Gruppetto coming through. That's
Charlotte Kuhn.
Tough day out for Charlotte. Alone as well.
Wow, hope she's inside the time cut. We'll have to wait for that, because she's got a big opportunity tomorrow, as we'll come to. Okay, Vollering attacks. Marlen Reusser goes with her, Katarzyna Niewiadoma goes with her, and then we've got the kind of accepted order of the world, haven't we? Yeah. All those other riders who didn't look like they were podium contenders, they're dropped and they get together in different groups, but those three riders go clear.
That was the podium riding away as far as we can tell.
Yeah. Katarzyna Niewiadoma, with 9.7 kilometres to go, shoots over to the left-hand side of the road and attacks. Vollering watches her go.
No, she doesn't. Vollering
is caught out.
Vollering is caught out, yeah. So Vollering, from the bottom of the climb up until this point, has done similar to what she's done in the previous stages. She's been on the front attacking and not being deterred by the fact that she hasn't distanced anybody. She's just kept going and she's sticking it out on the front, riding with uber confidence. There's a moment where she turns round to look over her right-hand shoulder at Reusser and Kasia, wow, takes it on. So do you think flies up the left.
Lizzie, was that? I
think that was instinct.
Was that just racing instinct?
I think it was.
She saw that moment and just went, "Oh, what? Go."
Again, she knew the best time for her, given her physiology, was to attack in the trees where it was steepest, where she wouldn't be against a block headwind when she comes out into the moonscape. But she wouldn't have had a precise moment in the woods. She waited for the correct instinctive moment.
Brilliant. So Vollering and then looks at Reusser, and Reusser looks at Vollering a little bit, and Kasia's got this explosive kick, and she gets a serious gap straight away.
Yep.
But it's, then it's Reusser who rides first, I think, and then Vollering sort of takes over with a bit more aggression and commitment than Reusser, or that's how it looks. Their body language is very different on a bike.
Again, she never just took over Demi. She attacked Reusser every single time she came through.
Yeah.
It was aggressive, and it was in the gutter out of the saddle. There was no collaboration between them.
At this point.
It was really tactical, the way they were looking at each other.
It's almost like Vollering kind of thought that she would drift, because at this point the time gap's like slightly uncertain, isn't it? It's so hovering around 10 seconds-ish.
Yeah.
And normally Vollering would say, I could probably get across to that.
I think that was the mistake. Yeah.
But never happened.
Never happened.
And after that, they accept, those two, the reality of the situation they now find themselves in. Katarzyna Niewiadoma is a long, long way from the top of this mountain. but she's pulling away. And they have got no choice now but to settle into a proper collaboration to try and bring this flipping rider back. And cut a long story short, it was a long story.
Yeah, it was.
They couldn't.
No.
Not even remotely.
No, and Kasia has this style. She came by the VIP section, and I was really curious to see the faces, to get a proper look at them. And Kasia was quite ragged, grimacing all over the bike. And the other two behind, Demi and Reusser, they looked composed in comparison, didn't they? Much more smooth on the bike. And I still at this point thought, when Kasia turns into the wind in the open section, is it going to come back? But actually, Kasia she kept extending and extending and extending. And when the camera panned to Reusser and Vollering, they looked at some points to be really standing still, didn't they?
Oh, I mean, there was a howling gale in the last 1.5 kilometres, which Niewiadoma just shot through, really, and extended her advantage in the final couple of kilometres immensely.
Yeah.
But then I do you remember I made a point to you? I said, there is a danger, though, for... These guys are just doing their job. There is a danger that Vollering is, as good as Vollering is, that she could come off Reusser's wheel and accelerate, leave her and drop her right high up on the mountain and take a lot of time back very quickly.
You did.
I did say that.
You called it. Well done, Ned.
Thank you.
You did it.
I was literally hoping you'd say that. Because that's exactly what she did.
She did,
in the last 600 metres.
Yeah, and that surprised me because honestly I was looking at her body language, at her grimace, the way she was hunched over the front of the bike, and I thought she's spent. We're at high altitude now, don't forget that. To make grandiose moves at that altitude, it's not a simple thing to do.
No.
And I didn't know that she'd be able to pull that out of the bag, but she did. I think probably the fact that she finally was able to get a bit of space between her and Reusser gave her the incentive to push on, and the belief again.
Yeah.
And she clawed back quite a lot in the last kilometre, didn't she?
Yeah, well, Kasia Niewiadoma wins her first ever stage of the Tour de France, despite having won the race, and she's gone into the yellow jersey.
Yeah.
Again in her career.
Amazing.
And she takes a 15-second lead in the general classification over Demi Vollering, who remains in second place, but now has a completely different opponent to face. Marlen Reusser lost a lot of time very quickly in that final kilometre and finishes the day 39 seconds down and didn't even pick up any bonus seconds because she gets rolled on the line by Elisa Longo-Borghini, who, as you've outlined often in this podcast, will believe now that she is still very much in the hunt now for the podium places.
They can't underestimate Elisa Longo-Borghini, especially on the stages that are coming up. She's aggressive and tenacious and never gives up. She's really annoying.
Yeah.
And it'll be great to see what she does to upset the apple cart over the next couple of days. Every possibility, if Reusser has to follow aggressive attacks in the sort of steeper sections over the next couple of days, that she blows up properly. Who knows? Who knows?
Because, hand on heart, who expected that today?
I didn't. No, I apologise. I underestimated it.
Demi Vollering and Marlen Reusser did not expect that today.
No, they didn't.
Not many people would have seen that coming, except, and I remember you saying this, I'm very caught by this. You said to me, I think it wasn't even on the podcast, I think you just told me when we were driving somewhere in the car, you said Kasia Niewiadoma has, I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, ridiculous self-belief. She is convinced that she will win. She comes to Tour de France convinced that she will win it.
Yeah, or convinced that she'll fight until the end. It's more a lack of self-doubt and a belief that she can take it on. She's not intimidated by rivals.
Yeah.
It's not that she's overconfident. It's different. It's a slight difference to the way Demi is and Demi's race, for instance. Yeah. I think Kasia just never gives up until it's over and has been rewarded in spectacular style today.
Unreal. It's truly what's happened to the race is
so good, isn't it?
So good. Like, we've got 2 more days of racing. We'll have a look at tomorrow's course, and then of course Sunday. Apologies for the shade I find myself in now, but that was
I'm in the spotlight. It's all right.
There we go. All right. It's time for today's muck-off moment of the day, brought to you by Muck-Off, the detail, the decision, or the breakthrough that changed the shape of the race. Since 1994, Muck-Off has combined family values with a passion for innovation, creating products for everyone, from the Sunday Chain Gang to the World Tour. Clean bikes, faster drivetrains, better rides. That's been the mission from day one. Let's just do one.
I think we've got the same one,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you admire most about Katarzyna Niewiadoma-Phinney's race today?
Just the fact that it was one and done. Just one attack. Over. She broke them with one attack.
Yeah.
I expected that we'd see a little bit more cat and mouse between the top three.
Yeah.
And just, she didn't mess around, did she?
And she's never done a ride like that on a long climb before, has she? I mean, she did that heroic ride on Alpe d'Huez to defend the yellow jersey in defence, but not to overturn a general classification that didn't look settled for the first and second places, but to be honest, looked a bit settled for third.
It did, yeah.
She's just smashed it apart.
She has.
And that is hard to do. It's like
she's cancelled out the time trial, effectively.
And to dispense with one favourite is one thing. To take out two in the same attack,
yeah,
it's like a very, very rare beast indeed.
A really rare beast. And they are sat at the top of the leaderboard with Kasia in yellow, Niedermeyer in white.
Yep.
Doesn't get better, does it?
That team overperforming in spades. And I'll say two more things, Lizzie. I don't know if you'll agree with them. One is, say it all goes wrong for her on stage 9, which let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it's a close race and then may the best rider win and all that sort of thing. But say it goes wrong for her, she still have Mont Ventoux. She'd be horrified and disappointed, but she's still got this in the bank now. This was a historic ride, one of the greatest rides in the history of the women's Tour de France, or the Tour de France. Let's take out the...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one thing I want to say. The other thing I wanted to say was that, it was a question to you actually. Is there a sense, because I've always felt it from a distance, from afar, not being invested as you are in the sport, I've always wondered whether Katarzyna Niewiadoma's victory at the Tour de France, how can I phrase this, is not treated perhaps with the same respect that the victories of Annemiek van Vleuten, Demi Vollering and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot have been, because of the circumstances in which she found herself in yellow and the fact that she didn't win a stage. Is that fair to suggest that victory is slightly undervalued?
Yeah, and I think if she's really honest as well, she knows how that happened. I would say a win's a win, and you could never take that away from somebody, because you've got to be in it to win it. You have to make all those decisions going into the Tour de France, who your team are, how you treat your teammates. All of these things have a collective influence on the way you can go for a yellow jersey. So obviously she won that Tour de France by 4 seconds because of Dami's crash, if we're talking just physiologically. But like I say, there's bike handling, team choice, all those other things that create a Tour de France champion that you can't take away from Kasia as well. So that was today's Muck Off Moment of the Day, brought to you by Muck Off, family founded, family run, creating performance products for riders by riders. Head to muckoff.com and use the code FTLOC20 for 20% off.
Hi cycling fans, I'm Joss Butler. I host For the Love of Cricket alongside Stuart Broad. I hope you're enjoying the Tour de Femmes.
We've just recorded an exclusive interview with recently retired England legend Ben Stokes.
So after you're done with this episode, go and find For the Love of Cricket on YouTube, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tomorrow's stage, Lizzie. Tomorrow's stage, it's the longest of the race, over 171 kilometres. Is that going to be a sprint, do you think? Woo-hoo. Should be, could be, maybe, might be.
Should be, could be, will be.
Okay.
I reckon. Wiebes has got her eye on that, surely.
Yeah, there's a couple of little nasty climbs in the final 10k, aren't there, that could disrupt things. That last Cat 4 is pretty close to the finish line. But she's more than capable of...
She is. For me, it's a Kopecky, potentially, if she gets a little bit of freedom. Kopecky, Kim LaCourt type situation. Yeah. But I anticipate a sprint. There's still too many people in this race who want the sprint to happen.
All right. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you were able to watch that live race today, witness something very, very special. But from here, from you in lovely sunlight and me in the shade of this umbrella on the top of Mont Ventoux, it's goodbye for now. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.